Hey everyone, Pastor Chris here at my home office. I hope you've been doing okay this week. We sure heard a lot of unfortunate news in today's society about anger and pain and frustration at injustices. I'm sure you've also been doing a lot of listening and reading and inner reflection. For me, this week, one word which I've been thinking about is this word called privilege. Privilege is identified as the things which we have that becomes an advantage over somebody else, simply because of um, our background, our income, where we live, who we interact with. Uh, they're all big picture things, but they're all actually they don't have to be so like a big picture. They can actually be as very real as just what our heart feels and sees. For one example, today I went with my daughter to her school to retrieve all her school supplies and to say goodbye to her teacher. And going downhill on the campus, the school campus, I had my cane in one hand, and anytime I'm walking down a slope, I pray and hope that my family or friend will be okay with me putting a hand on their shoulder for stability, because I feel anxious and scared about stumbling and falling. Walking downhill is my disadvantage. Um, and I felt my daughter kind of shake her shoulder a little bit, and I said, "Oh, wait a second. It is such a blessing to be able to walk with two able legs, but a lot of people don't have that. Those who have disabilities, so it is something which I feel and I see our society is crying out now with the venting, the protesting, and even the rioting too. There is a huge difference which the world is calling out for each and every one of us to listen to. So as I'm learning the language of what's going on as people are talking about, especially this idea of privilege, I was thinking, what actually would motivate us? No, so identifying our privilege is one thing, but what would actually motivate us to share that with somebody else? Because that is the cry, which isn't always vocalized. Sometimes like I have needs as a disabled person with disability, and I kind of sometimes don't know how to speak because maybe people might get tired of me saying it all over again. There he goes again. But when I think about these things, I see that God is the one who is the giver of all these blessings which we have in our lives, and He calls us to share. God is the one who blesses the world through all the advantages which we have. Whether it's something which we've earned it for ourselves, but a lot of it is because people have made the way for us. And what Scripture says is that God is the giver of all good things. So if you have a brief moment, I definitely encourage you to, as we Christians would say, count your blessings one by one, see what God has done, but at the same time also contemplate how we can also share it with those around us. Scripture says that in Ephesians chapter 4 verse 7, but to each one of us grace has been given as Christ apportioned it. So as we hear the cries of this world today, I pray that you look at who you're blessed with, what you're blessed with. Um, don't feel guilty, but maybe we should have a little healthy guilt that we have ignored, or we've just enjoyed the item or the people around us so much that we actually forgot there's actually more people who can benefit from this. But I pray that as you think about what you have, that it is really the grace of God which actually moves us to be able to love and to share with those around us. And then that's another topic for a future devotion is who do we share it with? So in the meantime, I still pray that you would find confidence and joy in what God has blessed you with. And I would encourage you to think about where and to whom you can share those blessings with. God bless you today.